On the next episode of Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast.
Because you failed as a parent to try to help your kid in school. So we're gonna go ahead and fail you in your taxes and take some of that tax money and put it towards Billy's education when Billy gets older.
But what if Billy's really good? Shouldn't the parents then get a tax?
Nope, it's a penalty. There is no incentive.
But if he does good, they should be rewarded.
Nope, absolutely not. We don't have money for that.
Well. Hello, everybody. It's Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast, episode 14. How you doing?
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It's been 2 minutes, actually.
Yeah. Oh, man. I've been traveling, dealing with life. You've been hanging out in the desert, dealing with life.
It's been crazy this last few weeks. We haven't had a chance to get together and do the podcast, but we're here now.
I did see you had a couple gigs up in the Big Bear
yes,
area.
I did. I had a couple of gigs at Big Bear. As a matter of fact, I'm doing line dancing. I'm DJing line dancing up there every Wednesday night.
How does that feel, Kevin, to work again?
It feels, to be honest with you, it feels good. I'm glad to work. It's not much work, but it is some work, and I'm glad to be able to do it as much as possible. Because,
do you have to wear a mask when you're working?
Not really. Nah, nobody's wearing a mask up there. Nobody's. I've been places around, and nobody's wearing a mask anywhere. I mean, let's face it. A few people. I mean, if I go through the crowd, I'll put a mask on, but the crowd's not wearing a mask. The employees are wearing masks, and I've been to a few places. Going shopping and things like that. And nobody's wearing masks, dude. Nobody.
We should make you a Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast mask to wear when you're DJing.
With our cool logo on it.
Yeah,
our
so
cool
everybody can subscribe.
I'd love to have one of those. I think that's cool. I mean, KABC has them. I mean, KTLA has them. Why can't Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast have one?
Right, because the comparison is impeccable.
That's right.
There's a lot going on in the world. The first thing I want to cover is Ellen Degeneres.
Well, how are you doing, first of all? Everything going okay?
Oh, okay. Well, teaser.
I mean, get right into it here.
Let's just do this. It's been a while. I know. Got to do it.
I know you got a lot to talk about.
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. There's a lot of opportunities that are on the table for me right now, and I've been getting a lot of voiceover gigs that I can't talk about yet unless I get them.
So how's it feel for you to work? You never stopped working, actually.
I never really stopped, and now that things are picking up, I'm starting to find more on my plate to do than when COVID was happening, and I mean it's great. I'm lucky, and I really do hope that continues. However, I do know that second wave is already hitting Europe, and it's very possible it's going to come here. So I am kind of expecting part 2, if you could believe that. In another month or two. So I'm going to try to soak up what I can while I can.
Well, I guess we'll see. The numbers have been lower, except I heard today that they were going up a little bit. And I do believe probably because of the Labor Day weekend that we're going to see some results from the COVID-19 thing.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, people are not, they're not wearing their masks. They're not really social distancing even. I've seen some restaurants that have people inside. And they're not supposed to in San Bernardino County. They're not supposed to have people inside, as far as I know, unless they've changed that ruling or whatever the case is. But I don't think so. I think that honestly, they have. They're supposed to. I think they're probably breaking the rules, just like these gyms. People are, and you know what though? I get it, Andrew. I mean, people are have to work. I mean, we have to work. I mean, we have to do this. And luckily, or unluckily, I'm not sure. I would love to be for you to be here in the studio with me. As opposed to being in two different studios, which is fine. I mean, it works out for both of us because we both do voiceovers and we both have the capabilities of doing that. But for the most part, I mean, it's cool to be like, hey, Andrew, how you doing? Having an interactive with sitting right here and shoot the cameras back and forth. But this is good, too. We're good.
Yeah. In California, you're talking about businesses. There's a couple that are closing down. Big chain, Bed Bath & Beyond.
Oh, my.
City of Industry, Fremont, Miraloma, Paso Robles, Stockton, and Victorville. They're all losing their Bed Bath & Beyond. It's going to the great beyond. That's what's going to happen.
There's a lot of businesses that are closing down because they can't make it due to COVID-19. Their restrictions have been just devastating.
And I mean, Bed Bath & Beyond's a big brick and mortar, right? It's a big box store, I think is what they call it, right?
I guess the stuff in there is not essential enough, like your bathroom stuff, like your showers, curtains.
I like Bed Bath & Beyond.
I think it's a cool place.
Yeah. And it's there's still one over there in Apple Valley, but you're gonna see more of that, right? If it's happening here, it's happening elsewhere. So you will see other stores, big stores, not just Bed Bath & Beyond.
I don't understand some of the rules though. I mean, Walmart can be open, Target can be open. I mean, every job. I don't know. They're saying a lot of jobs aren't essential, but I don't know.
What's going to happen around the holidays, Kevin? Right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Steinmart. I don't know if you're familiar with Steinmart.
I am familiar with Steinmart. Yes.
I'm a huge fan of Steinmart. When I was living in LA, that's where I would like to go when I was in the Valley.
Right.
And the Steinmarts are closing now.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of places close. I've been to Guitar Center several times. Actually, I went and bought new monitors for the band. I haven't told the band yet, but I bought new monitors, stage monitors for the band. Yeah. And I couldn't go in. You can't go in to get them at the stores. You can't go. You have to order everything online. All musical equipment has to be ordered online now. You have to order things on. You just can't go in the stores and get them anymore.
Not the big stuff. I've been to Guitar Center,
but they don't have the stuff that I guess. Here's the thing. I go to Best Buy and I can't find anything I need. And I go to Guitar Center and I can't find anything I need. And I think maybe I'm technologically more advanced on the things that I need. Is what I'm thinking, because so
they're limited. They're limited.
I think they're limited because they're telling me that we can order it for you. Well, I can order that myself. So why go to the store if I can order? I have. If you've ever seen my studio, I have earphone monitors here when the bands come in and record, and I can have 8 mixes for 8 earphones.
I know.
And
I
can and I got the 18-channel mixer down here, which is digital, and the connections sometimes are different. They're not. You go to Best Buy and you can buy a little 1/8-inch connection or a little 1/4-inch connection or XLR or whatever they call them. They got different connections. Those are standard connections, but sometimes I get even for monitors and screens for my monitors. You get 3 monitors in here, and you have a monitor for like one screen for like a mixer and one screen for the sound effects, and then you have another screen for the waves files. So in the studios, you just don't have the right. And same thing with my karaoke and my DJ equipment stuff. The connections are just different, I guess. I don't know. They're just not the same. So you can't go into a retail store and buy this kind of stuff. You have to order it special ordered online, especially for karaoke stuff. You're doing multiple screens and things like that. So it's kind of crazy. And, another thing, COVID-19, I've seen karaoke. We're talking about karaoke people. We had the quarantine karaoke. I'm seeing people from all over our area performing on the quarantine karaoke now.
They found that episode.
I guess
Kevin
so.
And Andrew have a podcast.
But here's the thing: there's local places that are bars that are supposed to be outside, and I see them hosting karaoke inside.
Yeah.
It's I don't get it. I just don't understand.
It's funny. I know we had that episode a few weeks back where I talked about actually doing it. I actually went to a place where there's karaoke, and don't get me wrong, great place, loved it. But I get rubbed the wrong way because we're in COVID in regards to doing that. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like I did something bad and I was underage and I don't want my parents to find out, and I'm not going to do it again. It's kind of like that kind of feeling. And I don't know if I'm going to go out again anytime soon to do that kind of leisure activity or to socialize in like a bar setting. I don't think I'm going to.
I get it. I haven't been out to the bars other than playing. I don't go out to the bars. I don't do any karaoke. I know several hosts that have been friends of mine for a long time. David Morgan and
hey, shout out to David.
Yeah, shout out to David Morgan. He's been a karaoke host forever. He's got a great following, but he's not. I believe they're having some karaoke at the place that he does, but he's not hosting it. Yeah. And Elizabeth Yola, she also does karaoke, and she's not doing it. But I see other, and I'm not doing it because, the places that I did it at, they're either closed or else they're just not having it. So I don't know. They make little condoms for the microphones now and all this stuff. I don't know how effective that is. the CDC changes its mind ever so often about that whole thing.
Yeah,
so.
it's getting a lot harder to listen to the people that are in charge.
I agree. I agree.
You know, it's making you wonder about some stuff. I'm starting to see, and I'm not trying to give Donald Trump credit if that's what you conservatives are thinking right now.
I think you are.
I know.
I think you
Any
are.
chance you get. You know what Andrew said. Listen.
Let me write that. Let me just write that down. I got it here on tape right now.
But I mean, he was the first one to call BS, right? He's always done that with a bunch of these professionals, right? And I'm starting to see people from both sides of the wall, to put it so bluntly, that are like, that doesn't seem right.
Well, the numbers to me are still not adding up. I mean, let's face it here. We've been in this thing for 6 months. We started this thing in March, and we started our podcast in April. Okay, so we're looking at April, May, June, July, August. This is September. This is 6 months. 7 months, right in that area that this whole thing kicked up.
Yeah.
The United States has 200,000 deaths,
which is a lot, and that's bad.
Well, is it though? There's 330 million people in the United States. Is 200,000 deaths really a lot out of 330 million people?
Assuming that it's all related to the same thing, yeah, that is a lot of deaths.
But is it related to the same thing? A lot of people are not sure. You know, that's the thing. They're not sure.
And that's one of the speculations. Right
and
there.
That's only.
I think America's woke, Kevin. I think America got woke.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but there's a lot of crying and whining about masks, and we've discussed all this before. And I just feel like at this point. Of course, I'll wear a mask because I do care about other people. But if I'm working as a DJ, I'm not going to wear a mask because you can't understand what I'm saying. If I'm singing, I'm not going to wear a mask. And, I'm not afraid to wear a mask. I went to the store today and I wore a mask in the store, of course. But a lot of people are not wearing masks.
Have you seen my Facebook? I wear the visor now.
Oh, do you?
I wear an all-tinted visor I look like a Power Ranger, and it goes around my whole entire face and mouth. When I go out in public now.
And you wear your Power Ranger costume with that?
Right. I don't know if I'm doing it for vanity purposes or because I'm Andrew Caravella, but I do feel pretty cool wearing it. I'm not going to lie.
Well, they're saying now that if you buy the construction goggles or if you wear glasses and your face mask, that that it protects you, that those goggles protect you because they go all the way around and they come around. So they're saying that now too. So
yeah.
Well, speaking of protection.
Yeah, speaking of protection, let's talk about Ellen Degeneres and how she protected her ass on her first monologue back to the Ellen show.
It's her 18th season.
18th season. Now, okay, people want to know what I think about it. You know, sometimes I'm more conservative. Other times I'm more liberal. What do you think about this, Andrew? What do you think about this? I'm going to tell you what I think about it. I think Ellen Degeneres has had a very, very humbling experience with what has happened to her with all these accusations, and seeing her monologue, she was a little off tonight. She was a little off, and it really did appear this humbling experience scared the crap out of her because she almost lost every single thing she's ever worked for or has ever been given to her. And then after the monologue, I ended up watching some of the interviews that she did, like with Tiffany Haddish, who I absolutely love and adore. And Tiffany was just like Tiffany, right? She's just bringing it. And Ellen was still a little on edge and uneasy, and you could see it in the face. You know, like when you know someone for so long, Kevin, and then you're like, what's wrong? Like, you could just see it in the face. You could see that there was something else bothering Ellen with everything that has happened. And I don't think she's back to herself. And I do think she is walking on eggshells going forward. So, and I think she's already lost a lot of support in Hollywood. So she wants to make this the best season ever. So it'll be very interesting to see without an audience how she's going to make this the best season ever.
Well,
that's my take.
The thing is with her, and I've never been really an Ellen fan. I do watch some of her shows every now and then.
But why? But why, Kevin? What's wrong?
I don't know. I just a lot of the talk shows. Oprah was huge. And Phil Donahue and some of these older shows that I used to watch during the day were great shows. And
is it because Ellen's just more fluff? Maybe those were kind of more serious type of shows.
I mean, she's funny. I mean, I'm not going to say that she's not funny. I've laughed many times at her shows, and of course, the clown pops out and scares everybody, and that kind of stuff. Right. I mean, she seems. and she's very successful. I'll give her that. And she's been, loved by millions of people. Obviously, her show's been on 18 seasons. I mean, plus she was an actress before that, and she came out on television, and it was a huge deal. And she's loved by many people. But this goes to show you how the human side of television is backstage. I mean, there's lots of pressure when you're doing $1 million shows like this every day. Yeah. There's, you have your crew and your camera crew and your agents and your even down to the stage, to the people who seat the people, the rush. What do they call them? The people that come in and seat the people.
I don't know. It's too low on the totem. It's
there's
too
the
low
lowest
on
ones on the totem pole, yeah. But and you have your assistants and you have your agents calling and you have guests come in and their agents call and things change sometimes. Guests come in and it's very hectic and it's constantly going like this. There's once you go in the office or you're in there and even out of the shows, even when they're off air, there's a lot of this going on that they're constantly being talked to and coached, and you can't say things these days. I mean, you used to could, I guess. I don't really know for sure, but these days you can't say the things that you used to could say.
Yeah. Well, again, like the word totem pole, I caught myself there. That's you said it, but that's okay.
I don't care. I mean, that is an example of that's a reality of how life has been.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I just, the whole Native American thing. So,
right. See, and that's just, to me, I think it's ridiculous. I think.
Right. This is the PC world that we live in now.
It is. It's very, and I don't care much for it. I mean, I get you can use your head and be sensible to some people. But, as I will always quote this, my favorite line from Dr. Martin Luther King was, it's not the content of your, it's the content of your character. If you treat somebody, I don't care what color you are, if you treat somebody good, they're going to treat you good back. And if they don't treat you good back, then you need to be away from those kind of people because that's not the kind of content of people that's not the character of people that you want to be around. Right. I mean, and there's a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot. I've never been really prejudiced or racial about things too much. Not really. I don't believe that I have.
Racialistic.
Yeah, well, that's my word for the day. We missed my makeup words. We know that. But
that is an amazing word. You're so racialistic. Did anyone ever tell you that? Right. I'm going to use that now. That's great, Kevin.
It'll be in the dictionary. I mean, they got like woke. Come on, that's a word that's
That's an amazing word.
But they make those words up.
No, racialistic is as good as it gets, man.
When you woke. That's when I got up this morning. I woke. That's when.
So you're woke today, then, right?
I'm woke today.
That's good. That's good.
But
so with Ellen though, I want to go back to this. Do you think? Okay, so I get it. Like you're not a fan and stuff. Do you think she's going to be on eggshells going forward? Also, like
you can tell today in the apology, she was on eggshells.
Yeah,
and I think that she's going to be. I mean, I don't know how. We don't know the whole story. We don't know what was really said.
I mean, we have a lot of allegations.
We do have a lot.
Let's just say that.
And that's the thing about this world today that's sad, is that we have a lot of allegations when it comes to big money, but we see no proof about it. We really
keep in mind those $1 million shows, your family comes second. So if you have a husband or a wife or a partner or kids, everything comes second to the show. The show is your first love, is your wife or your husband on a day-to-day basis. You are married to that.
That's the way it is with most shows. That's the way it is with most jobs now. Family comes secondary. Look at school teachers. School teachers spend all their time, teaching their kids. And now with the COVID-19, they're all teaching via Zoom. Like we're we're on Zoom right now ourselves doing our show. Yeah, but
we are not sponsored.
Right. But we
can be sponsored.
Right. Give us a call. But the thing is that there's a lot going on with technology that these kids have to learn and have to deal with, and parents are not dealing with this good at all. And
not at all.
And the parents only see their sides of the whole thing about how we have to get up and we have to make sure they get on, and what am I going to do? Am I going to be working at home? And what am I going to do about my kids? Well, what about the teachers? The teachers want to be in the classrooms, and they want to be teaching, but it's not possible right now. Because of the fact,
in some places though, teaching has gone back, and Well, you've had situations that have happened as a result. We just heard earlier today that there have been more than 4,500 COVID-19 cases in Texas public schools.
Absolutely.
That's a huge number to have. Like, remember what they said? Oh, well, kids can't really get it. Well, in Texas, they're getting it, which means they're probably getting it in other places in the country too. Like earlier when Georgia was first to open back up their schools, or some of their schools, they started getting it.
Well, I think they're not getting the effects of it like the adults do, but they carry it and then they spread it to the adults, and that's where all that problems are coming in. And it's going to be that situation until we have a vaccine, or until we have the plasma thing. That makes it. What is it? When you take it from the blood, and
it's all fake news. The antibodies.
Yeah, the antibodies. Maybe it is all fake news. That's the thing. We don't know. It's so much of it that everybody's all over the place. We know that. I mean, you got the Democrats over here, you got the Republicans over here, and neither one of them can make a decision about what they're. Nobody's getting in on.
Isn't it scary?
It's very scary. It's very scary. I mean, look at the Supreme Court justice that just passed away.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, notorious RBG.
Right, the notorious RBG, and they're already fighting about the Democrats don't want
crazy?
Don't replace her yet. You need to wait till the election.
Do you remember the days when the national crisis would be they couldn't figure out a budget, so Congress and the government have shut down for like 30 days? That was like the crisis. We're not even on the same level anymore. We're on a different level of Jumanji altogether by this point.
Well, they took a vacation and they didn't do anything.
Right. They are taking vacations in the middle of a pandemic. That's nuts. Absolutely nuts.
And they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. It's ridiculous. And I think that I see this thing all the time. Maybe we should pay our military that kind of money and take away some of this money from these congressmen people. They make too much money. Yeah. They make too much money. I mean, I saw that Biden finally got, I think it's like $30 million for his advertising for his presidential campaign. Finally got that. And Trump, here's $33 million for my campaign. I mean, he's got it right there. And he doesn't take $400,000 to him, which is what the president makes every year.
And he gives that away.
He gives it away to charity.
Some people wanted to defend, like, he's a good man, he's not taking it. He's a billionaire. I wouldn't expect him to take it either.
Right.
Like, it's not that big of a deal that he's not taking the money.
I'll tell you what, if I was a billionaire, I would take that money. If I was a billionaire, I would take that money. It's $100,000 every 3 months. I'll take it, by gosh. Put it in my bank account. That's,
Oh my gosh. Out of control. Out of control.
So yes, Ellen.
Yeah, Ellen. Well, enough of Ellen. What about these fires? We have fires all over the place. I mean, we have fires all the time, Is it global warming, or people just lighting stuff on fire? Here's what I find interesting. Think about this for a second, everybody. California complains and complains and complains. We're in a drought. We're in a drought. We're in a drought. Global warming. The drought's going to cause global warming. Well, guess what? We haven't been in a drought for a while now. That was actually a real fact that came out prior to COVID.
We're just now starting to get into a drought. We are just now.
But prior, it was like, yes, we're finally out of the drought after
we had a drought for many years, and then it rained and really
being,
caught everything
grounded or feeling like we were on restriction or something. We're out of a drought. So now, why do we have the biggest fires on record? Is it really because we were in a drought, or is it really because there's global warming? And then here you have Trump, right? You got to rake the leaves, California. There actually might be something to that.
There is.
He mentioned, I mean, go with me on this, before you decide to turn us off. He's mentioned talking to world leaders, and he probably did, because what came out of his mouth next, I kind of stopped and thought, I didn't think about that. That's actually not a bad idea. Some of these countries that are like literally a forest of trees, they do things to prevent forest fires, such as they chop down trees in a row, like 50 yards wide and like for miles on end. So if in the event a forest fire does break out, once it gets to the edge, it can't burn anything else because there's no more trees for another 50 yards. So there's more there. It's easier to control the fires because they have gaps in between large amounts of forest. And I thought to myself, we don't do that in California. That might be interesting.
The problem here is that we don't glean, and we need to be doing that.
I don't even know what that word means.
It's basically Kevin. Back in the day, and I've known this, my neighbor did this for years and years next door here, God rest his soul, but he would go up and you used to could go up to the forest and cut down your own wood. And you would clean up. They had dry wood areas that you would go into because we have bugs in the forest right now that go in, and I'm looking for this post right now.
Oh, the bark beetles?
The bark beetles that are eating up all these trees and drying them out, and there's no leaves on them and everything else. They're dying. Okay, a lot of the forest services would go in and cut these trees down, and then people would go up and they would get it for firewood, and they would get it for, they would sell it and make it into firewood and do many things with it. But now, it's not that way anymore because we have the environmental people saying, oh no, we're going to kill all these different insects and we're going to kill all these. It's, they're being very much about protecting the forest, and protecting what's in the forest and the whole bit. And to be honest with you, we have not protected the forest because we basically, in a nutshell, have not ever been able to, in the last 20 years or so, or even more probably, go up and manage the forest. It's maybe even been longer than that now, but we don't manage our forests anymore the way they should be managed. We should be going up and taking care of all these things. Many still remember up that early 90s of the Bureau, here it is, Bureau of Land Management and other U.S. Department of Forestry would cut down dead trees and spray them with a red or yellow streak, and you could get a permit to go up in designated areas and cut up the wood and haul it out of the area. In these areas, you would see cattle or livestock grazing the forest floors, men on horseback and dogs driving them as neat as they gleaned and cleaned up all the potential fuel for fire off its floors. This is something not new, by the way. Speaking of Native Americans, this is something that the Indians did, promoted and by the godfather of conservatism, Teddy Roosevelt.
I'm curious though, because yeah, we should do that, but California doesn't own most of the forest, I guess, in California.
No, the conservationists are trying to get all of it taken up away from them, and
I guess what I'm saying is I guess the federal government would be responsible for that. So, do we hold the federal government accountable, state by state, and make them do this? But I don't know how it really would work by this point. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of mailers that went out, TV ads, and arguments over endangered species of insects and other wildlife that have been going on with this. And man's footprints are basically on the forest floors. And what that means, basically, to me, in a nutshell, a lot of these fires. I mean, the El Dorado fire, by the way, which is not far from here, which is about 65% contained now, I believe. It was started by a gender.
And a firefighter died.
Right.
You know what that means?
A gender reveal party killed a firefighter.
The pregnant woman and the guy that got her pregnant are going to be held accountable for murder.
They should be. Do you think they should be?
They can be held for murder. More than likely, they will be. Do I think they should be? I don't know.
Well,
but wait, hold on. Let me explain. I think the people that should be held accountable for murder are whoever decided to let the bomb explode and whoever planted the bomb or created the bomb. Everyone else that was there at that gender reveal party, I think they all should be an accessory to murder. Is that too harsh?
It's pretty harsh, but yeah, I can see your point. But here's the thing: that whole deal was stupidity. You know that you're in first of all, I mean, it's great to have a gender reveal party, but if you're going to do it and you're actually the company that made this thing and put it there, I'm sure they hired a company to do this. They didn't do it personally. You know what I'm saying?
You think they did?
I'm sure companies do this.
Oh, we would have heard about a company being involved by this point.
I would think that maybe the company's trying to keep it low key or something, but I don't think they built their own bomb. Do you think they built their own bomb and did this?
I think they built their own bomb.
Well, if that's the case, then yes, the people that probably should, because You don't put an exploding bomb with fire into an area of dead grassy area
that has already been designated. Don't light anything here. It will catch on fire.
I mean, we see people up in the, again, people are not following laws for anything worth a damn these days. Nothing. I mean, we're talking like we talked about masks. We talk about social distancing. Restaurants are open inside, but yet you're not supposed to eat inside. I mean, come on. When do we get realistic about people? The problem is there are so many people that are not following rules and not using their freaking head, to put it nicely. They're not using their head. Stupidity.
Remember what I said several episodes ago? America must burn their hand on a stove before they learn don't touch the stove. This is the same situation again and again.
But they're still going to do it. I mean, how many car chases do we have every day, Andrew, down in Los Angeles, and people still do car chases, and they know they're going to get caught. Yeah. The cops never let them get away in Los Angeles. I mean, you see it on TV. If they get away, they're going to get caught later because they have all the information. They have the license plate. They know where they got cell phone. And they got helicopters.
Most of the cars nowadays all have trackers on them anyway.
I mean, in Big Bear, not in Big Bear, up in Mammoth, 200 people got trapped in that fire. And they all had to get in the lake, and they had to have the helicopters come in. I mean, when you see fires coming into an area, why would you stay there? Why would you just not leave and let it go and let the people do their jobs? When you're driving a police car, you see police car pulling, stopping some. I mean, people nowadays, they'll tape the police brutality. They'll tape it, they'll tape it and say it's police brutality. They go in and they want to get in close to their cameras. They don't stay out of the way of the officers anymore and let them do their jobs. I mean, there's just so many laws being broken. So many people don't care about anything. They're afraid they're getting their rights taken away. They're afraid they're getting their freedom taken away. They think that their way is the only way. And I mean,
America.
Yeah, you have to be open for change, but there's a lot of things that need to stay the way they are. I mean, especially with moralities and especially with, some of the things we've had. I mean,
I want to encourage everybody that has a Netflix account to sit down after this podcast and watch a documentary that just came out called The Social Dilemma. It will help fill in these things that are happening that Kevin and me bicker about back and forth. It really does open up your mind to where we are as a nation and as a society. And what I learned from that documentary, we're going to civil war.
Slowly but surely.
That's really where we're going. Just think about that, everybody. Go watch it. If you feel like you can argue back to me that that's all nonsense, feel free to. But I think you're going to find out that there is a lot more in there than meets the eye. And the type of people that are being interviewed in this documentary are not just anyone off the street. They're specialized executives that work within social media. And they don't even let their own kids on social media, if that says anything. So I encourage everybody to go check it out and be woke there as well.
I just think, that, you should, if you can refrain. I mean, back in the day, I'm not
talking
saying
like what, prior to 2010?
Well, just in the late 20th century, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Oh,
we didn't have all these kind of problems. Of course, we didn't have the social media we have today.
Right.
I get that things change, but for the most part, some things have to stay the same because you have to teach your children morals. You have to teach things to be. I mean, we're talking about Netflix. You and I have talked a couple of times, I believe, and of course, Cuties has been on.
Oh yeah, I've been getting all of that on.
And
Facebook.
The pedophile thing is a huge deal right now, and
it's a hashtag Save the Children.
Right, and then of course people are canceling their Netflix because of the Cuties I can see that. And then there's, of course, I see posts about sex trafficking. Many people are driving by in cars and grabbing women now and sex trafficking. I mean, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. And we have to put a stop to it. We have to start standing up to something, because if we don't, it's going to run over us, and we can't. That's why there's going to be a civil war.
Do you think we should cancel Netflix?
I don't watch those kind of things on Netflix. Actually,
I guess what I'm asking is, do we need to do away with Netflix because of this?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you this. 1986, there was a very successful movie called Platoon, which shows a soldier raping a little village child. Where was all the swarm of media then, and all the people calling foul? What about the 2007 movie Hound Dog?
But do you think actually? Here's the thing about Platoon. The difference in Hound Dog. You were talking about Hound Dog. I know that movie too.
Yeah.
Those movies don't really promote what this Cuties is doing. You see the difference? There's a story to that line, but I wouldn't say it's a promotion thing.
Yeah. Now, if we're talking about how the movie was marketed by Netflix, yes, that is completely wrong. Like, they messed that one up.
I think they did. I do think they did.
Now, if we're talking about the actual film itself, I never got the impression that I was watching something that promotes that type of trafficking, or the exploitation of young children. I never got that. If anything, I saw a movie that was exploring art as an indie film, because that's what indie films do. And in addition to that, yeah, absolutely, those scenes that were super suggestive that everyone is talking about with these children, it was very, very awkward and disturbing to watch.
It is awkward and disturbing to watch, and it's things that
But here's what I took away from that, watching that. In my head, I started thinking, oh my God, how accurate is this? That's where my mind went, because that's not the only thing that they talk about or show in the movie. There are all these other elements of being a young boy or a young girl in society, and the things that you have to go through, to be liked and to be wanted by others, and how far will you take things. And that stuff was just as disturbing to me, because I thought to myself, is this where we are? Is this where kids go, now in their minds, in order to be liked because of social media and because of all the adult content that they're exposed to? And is this why everyone is having an issue with this movie? Because it's just too real.
Okay, well, here's
the film director spent 1.5 years interviewing hundreds of young girls to develop the girl characters that are in this movie. I think those characters were as real as it gets to what's happening in our world for young children.
Okay, I have a question for you. Here's how real. First of all, I think that it does bring notice to things that need to probably stop. Okay? I think, if anything that is good about this television show is that it probably brings notice to things that we should not be allowing to happen to our children, or to our families. Need to get real and teach our children about this kind of stuff.
But that's where everybody misses the boat, Kevin, because what you just said, you are absolutely right. 100%.
On the opposite side, though.
Go ahead.
On the opposite side, this is the honey boo boo syndrome. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The thing is that you and I have worked together for the last several years doing the Barstow Beauty Pageant. Okay?
Yeah.
You were the host of the show. I was the sound engineer, and we worked these shows together. These girls are teenage girls. They come out, and they come out in their evening gowns, and the pageant syndrome. There's these child pageants on Hulu, the children's pageants, and these girls are 6 or 7 years old, 5, 6, 7 years old, and they're putting them in makeup, and their moms are dressing them up in big hair.
Oh yeah, the momagers. Yeah.
And this is a problem that's developing because these girls. It's affecting their self-esteem. They think that they need to get this attention, and their parents are pushing them hard to do this kind of stuff, and it's totally wrong in my opinion.
And the thing is that it does need to stop, and we do need to have children a part of families again, like you said. But everybody wants to point blame at Netflix, and say all this stuff to gain awareness to how Netflix is, when in reality we should be addressing how it's happening in real life. That's the big issue there. Fun fact, the most conservative state in the union, Texas, is the oldest place for beauty pageants. So I'm just saying these are those ironies. These are those and then think about that before moments where we need to take what we're seeing and we need to apply that, how we feel about that to the actual reality that's happening out there. No one wants to talk about that.
And that's the problem.
The movie.
I think a lot of it, as I was saying earlier, in the late 20th century, a lot of this stuff was happening before. I mean, we know sex trafficking has been happening for a long time. I mean, there's tunnels from Mexico into San Diego that they were taking and kidnapping kids and pulling them through those tunnels and taking them to Mexico and vice versa all the time. This is one of those things that people don't realize is going on in our society. I mean, there's kids that are aboard ships that are taken from from Japan and China, and they're sent to the United States and secretly sex trafficked to people who have money and people you would be surprised to know that they haven't been caught yet.
And that's not far-fetched, people. Literally go to Google and just Google that. You will be appalled at what's real in this world.
I mean, it's one of those things where you have to you can't put it aside anymore, but you have to learn. The parents have to, as parents, people become parents. They have to teach these kids that they need to watch out for these things and they need to be aware of their surroundings. A lot of people are not aware of their surroundings. They go shopping. They don't pay attention to the car next to them. I mean, I saw a thing today where stickers are all over a car about, all the things they do, and I don't have that right in front of me, but people are being watched constantly by people who want to do something to harm you in some way or to harm your family. You don't know it, you don't feel it, but it's there. I promise you, it's there.
There's been some prank videos, and I'm not encouraging anybody to do what I'm about to say to you, but prior to COVID, they would do these prank videos where they would simulate a child being abducted in a park. And it was very, very sad to see how mothers, fathers are just completely oblivious to what's happening, who's talking to their kids in a public park setting.
Right.
And it may be that their guard is down because, well, it's our community. Like, we wouldn't expect something like that to happen. That's not a world we live in anymore. You need to always expect the unexpected. Unfortunately, you need to be more alert and vigilant because it is a very, very scary world out there. And movies like the Cuties movie, I really do think give extreme awareness to that situation. The movie's not for kids. It's not even rated for kids. If an adult allows a child to see that, then that's on the adult. So, that can be thrown out right then and there. Okay. This movie is for adults specifically to show them this is the world that we live in now. This is what is considered socially accepted amongst that age group of boys and girls. And something needs to be done about that in reality.
There are so many things that are socially accepted now. So many things socially accepted now that I just don't, that should not be. That should not be. It should not be. I mean, Halloween's coming up. Again, late 20th century when I was a kid.
For you, I've canceled all holidays the rest of the year.
This is part of the reason why, though. I mean, of course, we have the virus, obviously, but when I was a kid, we used to love to get dressed up and go door to door and get Halloween candy. Every house had their porch light on. You go in and
what'd you dress
get the candy.
Kevin?
I was Freddy Krueger one year, but that wasn't one of my. I was older actually. I was older then, but I've been everything. I've been different ghosts or something. I guess I don't even really remember. But to be honest with you, later on, it started when my daughter was growing up. And my daughter's about your age probably now, but they made us stop taking kids around to the doors because people were putting razor blades and needles and apples and candy and putting stuff and doing stuff to candy and things like that. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And people are becoming evil with this kind of stuff. I mean, kids should be able to have fun and not have to worry about these things. And a lot of times we shelter kids, but should we nowadays, or should we be more? I mean, that's the question there.
Until the world finds peace again and goes back to a time that was much simpler, yes, we should be on alert, and yes, we should continue to be woke because it is a brave new world out there, Kevin. A brave new world.
Well, I don't know.
We should switch up the conversation. You wanted to talk about the Emmys.
I did. I don't like Jimmy Kimmel. Never did. Never will. He's not funny. He's not funny at all. And my here's what I was discussing with you before we started the show.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston. I love Jennifer Aniston. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, she's really.
Rachel. I mean, gotta love
Rachel
it.
from Friends, and of course, Elisa Kudrow and Courtney Cox made an appearance last night. Did you see that?
I didn't. I literally just watched Jimmy's monologue and called it quits.
Did you see the part with Jennifer Aniston?
How did I?
She came on. She came on, and they had the envelope, and that part almost got out of control because she was standing 60 feet away, and then she said, "No, he was what? Huh? Like you're supposed to stand 6 feet away." So she came over, and he had the envelope, and they set the envelope on fire to protect it from the COVID-19 series, and then they threw it in the trash can. Well, when they threw it in the trash can, Jennifer Aniston had a fire extinguisher, and she was supposed to put the fire out, and then the envelope was going to be safe from COVID-19. He was going to open the the envelope and announce the winner. Well, the fire kept going. She had to put it out like 5 or 6 times, and it was just the whole thing fell apart. And some of the jokes that were said politically, I'm so tired of. I mean, so many people are tired of the Emmys and the Country Music Awards even. So political. I don't want to hear your frickin' political speech about how we should love one another and blah, blah, blah. We should already love one another. That's what God wanted us to do, is love one another and be and teach one another.
That's not so political. We should love one another.
It's not. It has nothing to do with that. It was talking about, we need to get somebody else better in the White House, and we need, those kind of things, and what we're doing now is not the way, I just get so, I don't think these speeches should be, you should be grateful for what you got. Thank your family, thank your friends, thank God,
Well, hey, there's a simple solution to solve that.
I know, change the channel. I got that. Change the channel.
If people just decide not to watch it anymore, then these academies and institutions of music and film and whatnot will just have to say, okay, anyone who wins tonight, you can't say anything political.
But they won't do that
because no one's going to watch you guys, And if that's a thing, then hey.
And by the way,
just send them the Emmy in the mail.
This is going to lead to our show that we're having. We're having another show tomorrow night, and this is going to lead to that. By the way,
we are having another show tomorrow night. I'm excited.
We've been loafing off for a couple of weeks, different things, but we got this show tomorrow night that's going to get you. It's going to be cool about politics in Hollywood, and we'll discuss that more. Oh
my gosh! If you guys listen, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you don't want to miss the next one, because I have opposite ends of the spectrum in Hollywood that have been affected by things of this nature. The PC, the discrimination, the politics. It's going to be a great show, and it's going to be a no holds bar. We're going to put out what's out there,
You shouldn't say put out.
I may limit which networks will air me or show my face, but that's okay. I just need one to say, okay, let's sign him. So.
Well, it's going to be a good show, but I just think that getting back to the Emmys and all these award shows and everything, I just get so tired of the political. I get, it's very political in Hollywood, and they're preaching only one side, basically, in a nutshell. And I just can't stand it. It just drives me crazy. And but I had to watch the Emmys last night to see. Yeah, I was really pissed off at first because Jimmy Kimmel came on, and of course there was a huge audience. The whole Staples Center was filled with people.
Come on! How long did it take you to realize something was funny?
I didn't. It was pretty funny during that part, and I was like, wow, these people are laughing and they're here, and there's no face masks, and what's going on? And then it's like, this is where you people need to learn. People need to learn this, okay? This is a fact. If you haven't seen this Emmy show, you need to go back and watch the first 10 minutes of it at least and learn that television can be persuasive to you in so many. This is a perfect example of how persuasive television is. He had a whole audience in there. He was telling these jokes. These people were laughing. The Staples Center was filled with 60,000 people.
I don't know if you could fit that many.
Well, 30,000, 50,000, whatever. Okay. It was filled to the max, and there was Gwyneth Paltrow and
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock was there.
Henry Winkler.
All these people were there in this monologue, and then 10 minutes later, They weren't, because this is the magic, as he quoted, the magic of Norman Lear was there. Norman Lear was there, 98 years old, and they showed Norman Lear being there. And he's 98 years old and still alive. But this is the magic of television. This is what's true. Television, politics, all this stuff you watch on YouTube, all this stuff you watch on Facebook, all these videos, everything you watch, ladies and gentlemen, it can be and most likely is not the way it really is.
It's a slanted angle. Slanted. That's
it's
been my word.
Moved to the way that they want you to see it. It's
now, as
moved.
an entertainment reporter, I knew something was a little funny because, well, you know, some of those outfits I've seen over the years, and I probably covered them in a couple reports. So I knew within the first 2.5 minutes that's
I was pissed. I was really pissed. I was going
else.
like, how can he be so obnoxious to say that, talk about the president and COVID-19 and all the things that he talks about? How can he be so obnoxious about that and have all this whole crowd in there? And then, of course, at the end, he didn't have the whole crowd in there, which really even pissed me off more, I think, because I fell for it. As a producer of videos, a producer of audio, and of course I can manipulate anything I want to. Of course I can. You can. You've done the same thing. We both done it.
No, everything I do is real and authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never done anything.
You're so
like that.
true blue.
I have never ever auto-tuned myself on a record either.
I don't like auto-tune at all. I try to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm lying. Everybody does it.
But
I can really sing.
That's
too.
the thing. That's the point I wanted to make about this whole Emmy thing, is that it's very political, but yet the magic of television, as Jimmy Kimmel put it, I'm using his words, quote unquote, will manipulate you, and this is how it is. This is exactly how it is in this day and age, and you have to be careful. You have to use your brain. You have to think. Don't follow what everybody's posting. Don't believe. Do some research for real, and use your brain, use your head, and get facts, and get Snopes even is not always good. Some of these places, they're politically driven to their own ways.
Yeah. No, I see it all the time. I had a friend that posted a article from CBN, Christian Broadcast Network, about the pedophile law that went into effect in California. It's not a pedophile law. Go Google it, people, to learn more. But I clicked on his link, and when I got to the actual website for the headline swapped, and it was focusing specifically on LGBTQ community. And I thought, okay, so basically we're making this pedophile law specific to the LGBTQ community. Okay, well, it's a religious news organization site. I could see that. But even then, in journalism, they were slanting the story. The link that you see on Facebook is for a different headline than when you actually get to the website. They swapped the name of the headline to be specific to LGBTQ, to target them. And I thought, oh my gosh, even the Christian news agencies are now slanting the news. This is crazy.
But they're just trying to push they're just trying to push the Christian methods of morality.
However you want to look at it, if that's what they wanted, then that's what the headline should have said on Facebook, and not what they should have used LGBTQ in the headline for the link on Facebook instead of making me click the link to see a different headline for the news story.
Well, all I know for sure is that you can't really, too many people trust the media, and you shouldn't. Social media, you shouldn't trust it. You should have your own brain. You should make your own decisions about what you want to do, and then go out and do them. That's part of being free. And if you listen, everybody has got anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the fact that, basically, in a nutshell, Andrew, they read too much of this stuff and actually believe it.
Listen, aside from being a journalist and a on-air personality in TV and radio, I'm also a social media analyst. So I'm an expert at this stuff. And let me tell you, the world of media is a very dangerous place if you're not media literate. When you see something you need to stop and actually think. You can't just be like, oh my God, I can't believe so-and-so news organization said this. Let me share it. Because there may be more to the story, and you're going to look like you're dumb if you're not doing your due diligence and actually do the research. News organizations are ran by people. People do make mistakes. People sometimes don't get their details accurately. So be smart before you post. Otherwise, it's just a reflection on how you consume information on a daily basis.
And it goes back, they're not reporting just facts anymore. They're reporting to what they feel. They put a lot of feelings into it, like Anderson Cooper. We've talked about this, Don Lemon, Anderson Cooper. These guys put feelings into their reports.
And it's not just, think about this, people. It's not just a liberal media world or a conservative media world that's doing this. It's both of them. Because people who are super conservative, when I decide to call BS on a post, they will ask me, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? You know, what is your take on it? I'm not allowed to have a take. I'm the journalist. I'm just supposed to report the facts and maybe make suggestions. Oh my God, I got a list because my mouth is dry. Suggestions based on that information. I'm not supposed to give you my opinion. So if conservatives are expecting an opinion, Fox News, and if liberals are expecting a opinion, MSNBC, then you're going to get opinions.
I've talked with you about this before.
In your journalism, but that's not real journalism.
I know. I've talked to you about this before. Walter Cronkite, Harry Reasoner, Roger Mudd, Sam Donaldson. These guys reported the facts back in the day. They're no longer around, of course, you know, but Dan Rather, he was another one. They used to report the facts, but if they had an opinion about something, at the end of the newscast, they would do an editorial. That's how they did that, so that you can form your opinion about what you want to think, but they reported the facts they were given. Nowadays, news is nothing but one big editorial. Yeah. They don't have any real facts about, I mean, I hear, you know, I love Jory Rand. He's a nice guy. I've known Jory Rand at ABC. I've talked to him on Twitter a few times and a few things, you know. I've never met him in person, but he seems pretty nice. But he always is correcting, you know, Trump. What was, you know, they always catch these people. He's very much about catching people in lies or misconstrued comments. But he's still very right-winged, or left-winged rather, about, he's very democratic about, you know, liberal about the whole thing. And that's the way that a lot of these news people are, because they work for liberals, and that's how they get in, and that's how they do their thing. I don't think, you know, I see people are giving polls about Trump and Biden. And of course, I've seen so many, Biden's a stumbler. You know, he doesn't he announced 200 million people instead of 200,000 people the other day having COVID-19 in the United States. I mean, again, this is a human quality of someone, and I'm not taking up for Biden because I'm not a Biden fan at all. But you know,
we know you like Harris.
It's a human, whatever. Horace, Kamala Harris.
Oh my gosh, shame on you!
I know.
Shame on you.
Politically incorrect. I'm sorry. I'm offending people. Well, it's all right.
But you know, you're right. You're right. It's a huge editorial, basically, and you know that. I'm sorry. That's not real journalism to me, and I don't really like that kind of stuff. But you know, we live in a society. If it bleeds, it leads, and the people on both sides of the political spectrum, they ingest it like it's the newest chip on the market or a new ice cream flavor. They just ingest it.
Right.
And that's what they want.
It's the Chick-fil-A versus Popeyes thing again.
You can't complain about, here, fun fact, you can't if you're a conservative, you can't complain about liberal news. And if you're a liberal, you can't complain about conservative news if you allow your own side to do journalism that way. Both sides are equally no better than the other. So it's one of those things where, you know, you can't do that. You just can't do that, because then you're silly. You're absolutely silly if you allow that. Look for real news.
People need to be middle of the road, more or less. I think if they were middle of the road,
like Andrew Caravella, I know.
I try to be. I lean toward the right. I admit that, but I try to look at all the facts above.
Well, that's because you're open and you're reasonable.
I try to be.
You don't have blinders on. It's
I'm not open
Kevin's way or the highway.
I can tell you this, though. I'm not open to the pedophilia thing. I'm not open to it at all, and I think
we've
wrong.
talked about this. It's not a real thing.
Still, we're bringing this up, and we all know this is something that is not right. Period.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And like, I guess that would fall along the lines of like, God, bestiality or something like that. These are things that are mentally not a socially accepted thing in society.
And they should never be.
However, there are people who believe this and they feel this. It's not just, well, I'm going to just piss everyone off.
But there's something wrong with these people. There's something wrong with them.
There is seriously something wrong with those people in society. And yes, they're going to try to push their agendas and stuff. The more absurd and the more crazy it is, come on, people, look at your morals. Like, I understand that things are really out of whack in the country, but there are lines that are still drawn for certain things. And things like that are just not even on the spectrum of acknowledgement by a lawmaking entity of some kind, because it's just so out of whack. It really, really is. It's never going to get to that point. And people say, well, Andrew, people said, Trump, will never be president and certain things would never happen that are happening. Yeah, okay, I get it. But facts are facts. Like this, there are things that can be argued, right? There are actual legitimate facts that can be argued on, like how Trump and how the government has progressed and stuff like that, and how they're doing good things. You can also argue how they're doing bad things. When it comes to those topics of like pedophilia and bestiality and stuff, you can't argue the good part. You can argue the bad part, but there really is no good part to argue.
There's right? not.
I don't care how polar opposite we are as a country right now. I can still take my radical lefts and my radical rights that are friends and still find a common thread of some clarity as far as some of the things Trump has done good, and some of the things that Trump has done bad, as well as our governor and other people in office and stuff. You can still do that. You cannot do that with things like pedophilia. You just can't. Unless I'm missing something here.
No, you can't. I agree with you 100%. You should not do that with pedophilia at all. It's a wrong thing. That's just the bottom line. It's not good. It's not the way things should be. You should never do that to children. You should never, ever even consider that. Nothing. Boom. Wrong. Period.
It's like pooping in your hand and throwing it in your grandma's face. You just don't do that.
Right.
That's just wrong. Just absolutely wrong. It's not even funny. It's just wrong.
But it's a true fact. There's many things that you should not do that moralistically, if you have any kind of morals in your head and have learned anything about whether you're a follower of God or not, you should have some kind of moralistic idea about how you want to be treated or how you want to treat people. And that's all there is to it. It's just the bottom line. And people are getting so bad these days about treating others horribly. It's just...
If you want to know how I really feel, I really do feel that because parents are so out of touch with their children nowadays. Huh?
They are.
Yeah, I really do feel like that 18 should not be the legal age to be considered an adult. I believe all of that should be lifted, and everything that considers you an adult should be moved to the age of 21. Well, because at 18, these kids, they have not been raised properly, nor is their brain functioning enough as a majority to be considered adults. Everything needs to be moved to 21, but that's a little too extreme.
There are people that want to move the voting age to 16.
Wait, say that again?
There are people that want to move the voting age to 16.
I believe 21 for everything, to be honest with you.
Across the board. Really do. Liquor, across cigarettes, voting, everything.
Yeah.
Sex, everything.
Everything in this country. If I can't change a country, maybe the state of California. 21.
And see, here's a valid point that you make.
Yeah.
Seriously, this is a valid point that you make. The thing is, if we're going to do something, you should be consistent. And this is where things have never been consistent. You can smoke at 18, supposedly, but you still get cigarettes at 16. You can have sex at 18. You can drink at 21. You can get your driver's license at 16. Where's the consistency in all of that, right? There's no consistency in anything. If we made things more consistent, the day that you became an adult at 21, would that be a wonderful day to become an adult and be responsible?
Yeah. That's the magic number, 21. You know, it's already been set for some stuff. You might as well just go all the way with everything.
And any parents,
society's horrible.
And any child who commits crimes such as murder or pedophilia or and they're under 21 years old, you know, they go out and they crash cars, or they break into somebody's house, or they beat somebody up. The parents should all be disciplined for that, for the poor raising of their children, right?
Actually, I also, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this with my politics. I also do believe that if you're 16 years of age or older, like let's assume we're doing the 21 thing right now, okay? So if you're 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20, and you decide to commit sexual crimes or murders, you know, young children like preteens and stuff like that, or toddlers or whatever, that you should possibly be tried as an adult.
Absolutely, I agree.
Like, and by possibly, I mean like an 80% chance, like an 80-20, that you will be tried as an adult.
And
like
no juvenile
the odds
hall.
are not in your favor.
No juvenile hall. Go straight to the big prison where the adults are.
Because I feel like at 16, you should have developed a moral conscience by that moment of some kind, you know, with or without your parents. We all should have learned some right from wrong by that point. And if you're going to do things like that, okay, cool. You want to play with the big boys? We'll treat you like one of the big boys.
Right, I agree. I think that there's too many. And again, should the parents be punished for their acts? Do they go to the bigger prison? Do the parents go with them?
See, and I don't know the answer to that, because I'm not a politician and I'm not a lawmaker. I can just tell you, based on what I've observed, doing, you know, accurate, trying my best to do balanced reporting, I have drawn that own conclusion personally that that's where that should go. I've never explored it farther than that to say, well, the parents should be accountable for this. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know what should happen to those people that do those crimes.
But the parents are not even accountable for one thing right now, which is most important, is getting their kids' education, getting on Zoom and getting them on Zoom to learn school, to learn their math, to learn their English, to learn their numbers. The parents can't even do that right now, Andrew.
You know, you know what we should do, Kevin? Tell me if this is liberal enough. You're older than me. Maybe we should create a tax penalty. Follow me on this. That if a child does this bad in school as a minor, because they're a child, right? Then come tax season, a percentage of the parents' tax money should actually go towards the child's education. It should be put in like a private account for when they become an adult and go to college and stuff. So the parents are losing their tax money every year, you know. So the kids, once they graduate, will, you know, if they graduate, will have money.
So is this a tax break for the parents, basically, in a nutshell?
It's not a tax break; it's a tax penalty. So, like, let's say your return is like $5,000. Oh, maybe we'll just take, 20% of that, $1,000 will go straight into this account for little Billy. You know,
as long as it goes to little Billy of your family.
So whatever you're netting, 20% of that will go to Billy's education when Billy goes to college. You don't get that money,
right?
Because you failed as a parent to try to help your kid in school. So we're gonna go ahead and fail you in your taxes and take some of that tax money and put it towards Billy's education when Billy gets older.
But what if Billy's really good? Shouldn't the parents then get a tax?
Nope, it's a penalty. There is no incentive.
But if he does good, they should be rewarded.
Nope, absolutely not. We don't have money for that.
Well,
we do not have money for that. What do you think? Is that too harsh?
That's pretty harsh.
I don't know.
I think.
You think people would vote for me?
If the parents would be more observant of their
You're two for two tonight.
Two for tonight.
Racially observative, or no, racialistic observative.
Right. If they would be more observant of what, I'm like Biden. I can't get my words out today.
You just need aviator sunglasses. Come on, man.
If they would be more observant of what their kids are doing, then they should be, and the kids are doing good, then they should be rewarded.
Nope.
Instead of taking tax deductions to go to little Billy later on, they could, less taxes to be for the whole family vacation or something.
And this is why I would need a cabinet, because I got to work through all those numbers with them. So I'm just looking at the punishment, you know.
Yeah.
This is going to help Billy in the future if you screw up his education, mom and dad. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, but Billy is not going to have an education. He's going to blow the money right away.
Well,
he's going to blow the money.
No,
simple as that.
The money is like financial aid. You can only use it for college. You can't use it to buy anything else.
Little Billy's not going to go to college if he doesn't get an education.
Well, Billy's not going to get the money then.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't know. Just some ideas. I don't think like a typical person with politics. I always look for those angles that people forgot or didn't think about. But unfortunately, I think with the polarity again in the country, I'm just one of those rare animals that are out there in the wild blue yonder.
Well, I guess we'll see. We'll have to see what the election brings and what's going to happen in the future. Well, of course, we'll have plenty more to talk about when this all happens in the future, in the next few months here. I mean, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty election now. We're going to see what's going to happen. I'm getting all sorts of information about even local, government and what's going on with all that. So,
and I do have some very exciting things that are happening. If you guys follow me with local government that I'm going to be involved in, I'm not running for a position, but media wise, there's something really fun that's going to be rolling out here in the next couple of weeks. So follow me on Air Andrew on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and you guys will find out very soon.
And that's right. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on L4MONTY, L the number 4 MONTY on Twitter, and on I'm also on Facebook, and I also have Kevin O'Neill Soundlabs.com, KEVIN Sound O'Neill O''NEAL Soundlabs.com, and
you can't put an apostrophe in a website.
Well, it's Kevin O'Neill, ONEAL.
Oh, I got you.
It has an apostrophe in it. If I could put it in there, I would put it in there.
That's cool. That's cool stuff. You guys could also write to us, KOAC podcast @gmail.com. We have a couple authors that have actually reached out to us recently. We may be getting an author or two, published authors on the show, talk about their books. We'll have to look in. We'll have to actually read them.
We have some good stuff coming up. Actually, we do have some authors coming up. Hopefully, I can get Dorinda Jones in here. She's written a lot of books. I might get Holly LaPat in here too. She's also written a couple of books.
I've heard that.
And then also, we were talking about getting Mr. Jimmy, who worked with John Bonham.
Yes, and I'm still working on the sex trafficking episode. We've had a couple setbacks, and I've had to leave the state a couple times.
Right.
So hopefully I can get that before season 2.
And also before
maybe we start season 2 with it. I don't know.
Also before season 2, I'm hoping to get. I'm working with John Pauly, which is a really good friend of mine. He plays in the Naked Eyes, and we're trying to get him from the Naked Eyes, and also Kevin, the drummer for. I can't think of the name of the band now. Oh my gosh! It just slipped my mind. Big '80s band. They sing "I ran so far away." I forgot the name of the band.
So far from knowing.
I'm gonna look it up now.
Sorry. Subscribe on Twitter, or not Twitter. Oh my gosh, I'm getting everything mixed up. Subscribe on YouTube. You guys can also subscribe on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere, or on Spreaker.
Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, there it is.
Flock of Seagulls.
There you go, right there.
Flock of Seagulls and the Naked Eyes.
So more shows will be on the way. We got a really fun one next. Our next episode, actually, tomorrow night. So as soon as we wrap this one up, go ahead and hit skip to the next episode. I'm Andrew Caravello. See you guys next time later.
And I'm Kevin O'Neill. God bless you. Take care, and we'll see you later. And you're listening to Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast.